Thomas the Tank Engine has worked this branch line for many years and knows it very well. "You know just where to stop, Thomas," laughed his driver. "You can almost manage it without me." Thomas had become conceited. He didn't realize his driver was joking. Later, he boasted to the others. "Driver says I don't need him now." "Don't be so daft," snorted Percy. "I'd never go without my driver," said Toby earnestly. "I'd be frightened." "Puh," boasted Thomas. "I'm not scared." "You never dare." "I would then." "You'll see." "Y'all are just tons of fun," smiled Rebecca. Just then, the fire ladder came. Thomas drowsed comfortably as the warmth spread to his boiler. Percy and Toby were still asleep. Thomas suddenly remembered. "Silly stick in the muds," he chuckled. "I'll show them. Driver said I can manage without him. I'll just go out and then I'll stop and whoosh. That'll make them jump." Thomas thought he was being careless, and really he was only moving because a careless cleaner had meddled with his controls. He soon found his mistake. He tried to whoosh, but he couldn't. He tried to stop, but he couldn't. He just kept rolling along. He didn't dare look at what was coming next. There was the station master's house. The station master was about to have breakfast. "Horrors!" cried Thomas, and he shut his eyes. The house rocked, broken glass tinkled, plaster was everywhere. Thomas had collected a bush on his trousers. He peered into the room through his leaves. He couldn't speak. The station master was furious. His wife picked up her plate. "You miserable engine," she scolded. "Just look what you've done to our breakfast. Now I shall have to cook some more." She banged the door. More plaster had fell. This time it fell on Thomas. Thomas felt depressed. Workmen propped up the house with strong poles and laid rails to the garden. Just then, the Scottish twin engines Donald and Douglas arrived. "Didn't you fast yourself, Thomas? We'll soon have you back on the rails," they laughed. Donald and Douglas, puffing hard, managed to hold Thomas back to safety. It's a fencing, a bush, and a broken window frame, which tuned his front, which was badly twisted. The twins laughed and left him. Thomas was in disgrace. There was worse to come. "You're in a lot of trouble, Thomas." "I know, sir. I'm sorry, sir." Thomas was muffled in front behind his bush. "You must go to the works and get your front demanded, and it will be a long job." "Yes, sir." "Meanwhile, a diesel rail car will do your work." "That would be me," said Daisy. Thomas looked down. He didn't want Daisy doing all his work for him. "Don't worry, Thomas," said Daisy. "Maybe I can take you to the works to get you repaired." "Really?" "I promise," said Daisy. "Very well then, Daisy," said Sir Topham Hatt. Soon Thomas was later repaired. "They can sure see him now." "Glad to see you back and repaired again," said Daisy. Thomas didn't know that the station master's house was back and repaired in its position again. And now Thomas knows that he's never allowed to tease other engines again about being frightened. he's a really useful engine, and he's now helping Daisy the diesel railcar help pick up passengers.
Roblox, what will you build?